G'day, I'm Mick Holton, Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party candidate for Monaro.
Yeah, I'm Steve Samuels. I'm the president of the Monaro Acclimatisation Society, and we're the organisation that works with New South Wales fisheries to stock the rivers and streams with fish, and we work with fisheries on things like legislation and better fishing.
Okay, my name's Kerry Pfeiffer, and I'm the vice president of the Monaro Acclimatisation Society. And I'm interested in being up here because I've fished here for most of my life, and in the last 5 to 10 years I've seen a serious decline in the quality of our rivers and streams here in the top end of Tantangara.
Hi, my name's Whiteway. I'm Secretary of Monaro Acclimatisation Society, and I'm here for much the same reason as Kerry and Steve. We're concerned about the direction the park's going with the damage being done by horses, and we thought we needed to show someone what was happening.
For me, it's about balance. I know that throughout my campaign, I'm pushing on improved land management practices. Certainly from what I've seen, you guys have shown me some damage that is without doubt caused by horses. We also saw other things. We saw a little bit of pig damage, but obviously we've got various groups pushing different agendas. But if we try and find the common ground, I believe that it's probably not so much the horse that's the problem, but it's the numbers of horses. And certainly we saw a lot of horses in this particular area.
We're at the northern end of Tantangara area, in that area of long plain that they call the Currango Plain. Okay, and we've been looking at the Currango Creek and the swamp systems that used to be part of it. You need to understand that the Tantangara is built on the Murrumbidgee River, and we're getting pretty much near the headwaters of the Murrumbidgee here, and so all of these swamps and little rivulets and creeks and streams are a very important part of that Murrumbidgee catchment. Tantangara is also important to us because it's a self-sustaining fishery in that we don't stock it. We don't get stock trout from Gaydon Hatchery and put them in Tantangara. Tantangara looks after itself because of the rivers and the streams that flow into it, and the quality up until now of those rivers and streams. The trout have been able to self-generate, so that the fishery is there, the tourism is there, and no one really has up until this moment needed to intervene to maintain that. What we're concerned about is that in the last few years, the population of horses has grown that much that, as we observe today, those streams are very much now at risk.
I could probably add a little bit to that. I haven't been to this area for about 5 years, and I was shocked, I suppose, at the amount of damage that had been done, and the breakdown of the banks. No overhanging banks for fish to hide under. Siltation of the stream caused by the bank material being washed into the stream. So what we're getting is a shallow, broad expanse of water that heats up in summer, provides no cover for fish, and also makes it difficult for insects to survive. A lot of insects need gravelly stream beds, and they're all covered up by fine silt. All in all, it was a most depressing scene.
Where we're coming from, though, it's important to recognise that as a fishing organisation, we're not actually anti-horse. But just as we manage our trout that are up here, we don't stock trout and then say, every trout has to live. You can't take any out of the system. They must all survive. With the horses, we believe that there has to be a better way of managing them, and some action needs to happen quite quickly. As Rod's pointed out, in 5 years, the amount of damage that we've seen is quite a lot. If we wait another 5 or 10 years, the damage will be even worse. It will be catastrophic, to be quite honest. So I guess it's time for us as anglers and politicians and all the horse lovers out there to sort of really sit down and try and figure out what's the best way forward. Ultimately, I think we need to get a large number of these horses out of the park as quickly as possible. And then it'll be incumbent upon the National Park Service to actually manage the horses to make sure that this doesn't happen again. I mean, it has happened under their watch. So, some responsibility needs to be shooted back to the National Park Service.
it is important to find, try and find workable solutions that are going to be palatable to all bush users, all the users of the park. We know we'll get everything from skiers through to walkers, push bike riders, four-wheel drivers, horse riders, and they've all got rights to enjoy their activities in the right area and under the right conditions from a government perspective, and start to engage horse people in the solution to help remove horses. I'd really like that suggestion. Any comments on that?
Well, that suggestion was put to me by a couple of landowners at Nimittabel. I've got some property at Nimittabel, and I've had a lot to do with horses as my daughter was growing up. So I'm not anti-horse, and I come from a land background. But these farmers were as concerned as I was. They like to use the park. They'd come up and seen it. And when I started talking to them about Brumbies, I was expecting them to be very pro-Brumby, but quite the opposite. They were very concerned as well. And they suggested to me, why don't I approach a lot of the landowners who have traditionally ridden in the park? There are quite a number of Monaro who've done this, and approach them about putting together some sort of plan. It would have to be passed by national parks. It would have to probably be assessed by government. Putting together a plan for maybe some annual event to round up and to ship out the Brumbies.
We here, as I said earlier, on the top end of Long Plain. Long Plain goes all the way out to the other side of Kianda until you go down towards Talbinga. It's a huge grassland. If you couldn't build wings and yards and with enough volunteers, round up 1,000 or 2,000 horses here on Long Plain, I'd be very surprised, because the horses are definitely here. And when you've rounded them up, you've really got to draft them three ways. There's those horses that would suit, those people who want them to rehome. There'd be those horses that are of low grade and low standard, and you've got to find a use for those. And then there is, as Steve said, there are those horses that you want to retain because of their heritage value. Because we don't have a problem with the heritage value of a horse here in Kosciuszko National Park. We know, we are locals. We know the history. So therefore, heritage, giving that population, and I don't know what that population number is, but giving that population that is sustainable, heritage status doesn't hold any problems as far as I'm concerned.
But one issue about numbers. Numbers has been used as a red herring to stop doing anything about horses in the national park. It's been put by parks by their report. There were 6,000 to 8,000 horses. That's disputed by the horse people, who say there might be 4,000. Our point is, whatever the number, there are too many here at the moment. So there have to be reductions. The absolute numbers are unimportant. The important thing is the evidence of the damage being done shows there are too many horses. So we shouldn't be waiting for some supposedly future census to be done. Who knows when that'll be done? The government at the moment hasn't even been able to put together its committee to oversee action on the horse front. How long before they would commission and get a proper survey done? We haven't got the time to waste. We need to reduce numbers now.
So, look, from my perspective, I get asked all the time, what are you going to support? What side are you going to support? What do you think is an acceptable number of horses? And I answer, my question to the numbers thing is, I don't know. I don't know what the land can sustain. I'm not an expert in that area. What I do know is if we're going to solve these problems, we have to meet with the various stakeholders. And I guess that's one thing the bill did say, is that, get this panel going. But I mean, I'm afraid that the parks are probably sitting on their hands right now, and probably have been asked to stay quiet while the election gets sorted out, and that frustrates me too. That everyone's in care and maintenance mode. Meanwhile, we saw plenty of young horses out there. But anyway, I like the suggestions. Let's talk to the horse people. We talk to all the various stakeholders before we just go off and make silly statements about what we promise and all the rest of it. I mean, too many politicians annoys the crap out of me. They get out there and make all these promises and don't keep half of them. So I really thank you guys for taking me here and showing me your side of the story. I'm very keen to meet with the horse people again and go and see some of their stuff. I was listening to the radio on the way out here, and I heard Barrelero is out splashing money around and all these media releases, and Bryce Wilson's out there saying he's going to bring the fishermen to the table and discuss a way forward. Well, here I am. I'm out in the bush. At the business end, talking to the fishermen. But look, we've had a great time. We collected some beer bottles. Here's one that I've got here. Now this is so we're getting off the topic of the Brumbies here. And this one's got a date on it, 1958. So
the Brumbies didn't leave
the bottles there, guys. It's all right.
Yeah. Might have been my grandfather.
We think it might have been some anglers. Humans have a bit to stand up for here too.
Or it was some snowy workers in 1958.
It could have been.
So good on you guys, and look, fishing's such an important thing in this electorate, trout fishing. Hey, you've got my support to help you guys drive your cause a bit, again, in balance with everything else. But good on you, and thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for
coming.
Thanks a lot for coming.